where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Desde Brooklyn hasta el sol del Medio Oriente, Jose Flores con fuego en la mente. Raised in the Bronx where dreams don't sleep, donde el hambre te enseña a resistir. Sectionoid life, no handouts, no cheat. He built his power from the pain on the street.
Cada golpe, cada lágrima caída fue el fuego que encendió su vida. Ahora camina con propósito y voz. Jose Flores, hear the noise. De la calle al combate, turn his trials into faith. Con disciplina y con fe, now he rises every day. From the black to the world sin temor.
You ever need a haircut?
Jose
so that these kids can learn how to play instruments or want to, not just learn, but want to. But I think that there's a major shift.
Iraq to Korea, he led from the front. Now he lifts others, never just stunts. Hoy es mentor, líder, amigo.
¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Hey, welcome to the Motivated Mindset. If you don't know, you better ask somebody up in here. Yay. Hey, I'm your host, Jose Antonio Flores. I know you don't see it all the time. I'm a proud Latino, born in New York, straight out of the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn. How you doing? You been working out? Check this out. That New York flavor, that hustle, that grit, it shaped me, built me, and still drives todo lo que yo hago. You feeling me? I'm a combat vet who served 30 years in the United States Army. Hooah! And before we get started right here, right now, I want to send a salute, a power salute to all my veterans, service members, and first responders. Gracias por todo lo que tú haces. Mucho respeto, much respect. You already know that. Now, in this new chapter of my life, I wear many different hats, except for this cool one right here. How you doing? Thank you very much. I'm a certified personal trainer, motivational speaker, and you know what? I'm even an end-of-life death doula. You know what I'm saying? But here's the truth. Behind all those titles, right? I do what I do because I'm called to serve. You feel me? Because I know what struggle feels like. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what it means to fight for a purpose and to help others find theirs. Todos los días, every day, my mission is simple. To inspire, to uplift, to challenge, to remind people that no matter where you start off in life, you can always define it later on with heart, discipline, faith, and relentless drive. You feel me? And that's why this podcast exists. The Motivated Mindset is where we talk about resilience, we talk about culture, we talk about optimism, discipline, and the courage it takes to keep pushing when life swings hard. You understand? We keep it real here. New York City real. You feel me? Straight talk, Bronx humor. How you doing? Right? Zero sugarcoating. You're going to laugh. You're going to reflect. You're going to get fired up. And you know what? You may even shed a tear. Oh, tiguerito, con lo que pasa, right? But one thing I promise, mi gente, you're going to leave here a little stronger than when you press that play button, because this isn't just about, como se dice, motivation, even though I got a lot of it. This is about transformation. And one last thing, right? Otra cosa más, right? Look, if you vibe, right, with what you hear today, right? If you say, man, that's some powerful stuff. If this conversation inspires you, if you appreciate the interview, the energy, yay, and the message, all I ask for you to support the YouTube channel, all our platforms that we have there. Hit like, subscribe, and you know what? Share it. Knowledge is worthless unless you share it. Share it with somebody who may need a little bit of motivation, a little support, because anything you give us, this is how we're able to bring all these awesome guests, amazing people. All right, familia, you know, we're gonna get to it, right? So this is stupendous. I'm so excited about this because let me tell you, growing up in New York, it was like, you know, finance was, you'll see what I'm talking about. But my next guest is not only an award-winning certified financial planner based in Los Angeles. She's a trailblazer, a game changer, and with a voice that is redefining of what wealth looks like in la comunidad de nosotros. She's been recognized nationally as a woman to watch, rising star, and honored as a DE&I visionary, powerful in her journey from being a formerly undocumented first-generation Mexican immigrant to becoming a leader, influencing conversations on money, equity, and the financial empowerment across the country. Her work has been featured in major outlets como the New York Times, Forbes, Fortune, CNN, and she even sits on the CNBC Financial Advisor Council, helping shape the future of financial literacy and wealth building. She's on a mission to normalize first-generation wealth, increase representation in the financial industry, and make financial knowledge accessible para todo mundo, everyone. Mi gente, she's bigger than this is bigger than money. This is about legacy, opportunity, and changing lives, right? So please help me work it. Please help me welcome Gloria Garcia. And I always get this Cisneros. She's about to correct me because, I got issues, but I'm working through them. Okay, so let's.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Gloria, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Jose. Un gustazo. I am so happy to be here.
I need to make a correction, ma'am. How do you say your last name, please?
You got it right. You said Cisneros.
Oh, Cisneros, thank you. Okay, this is my I speak that Spanglish and they be throwing me off sometimes.
Okay, so back. You got that one.
So you know what? Well, before we get started, right? Before titles and accolades, first of all, how are you doing? And what energized you today?
What am I? How am I doing? Who am I? All the things. I'm doing great. It's a Saturday. We woke up today. Got to take on the day. I was at a conference for Latinas the first half of the day. So I'm energized. That's what got me up out of bed, connecting with other like-minded people. We're nothing without the people we surround ourselves with connection, community. That really is our currency. And so that is what energized me. I had some amazing conversations with old friends, new friends this morning, and I get to do this on a Saturday. Like, que más puedo pedir? This excites me. I love talking about how we can create different futures for ourselves.
No, that is stupendous. So outside of finances, who is Gloria? Growing up, what was that like for you, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm a Mexicana. I was born in Baja California, Mexico. My family's from Tecate, so I'm an immigrant. I came to the U.S. pretty young and very, that lifestyle where you grow up just grateful, grit, hard work. My grandpa was a mariachi. My grandma was a caretaker. It was one of those where we had as many family members in the household growing up as possible. We made every dollar stretch. But as a kid, you don't even know the difference. You're happy, right. And so I grew up with a lot of love and abundance of that, and lack of other things, which as an adult you realize. But that is my roots. San Diego, Southeast San Diego is where I call hometown, where I came after coming from Mexico up to the U.S. And now I'm in LA. But I'm someone who's very, very proudly Latina, Mexicana. I love mi gente, mi cultura, mi música, mi comida. I also deal with money for a living, and I help people with money for a living. But that is only part of who I am.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's, I think we talked earlier, growing up, people act, like, what did that conversation look like for me growing up in the South Bronx when it came to money? Yeah. And back in the day, before they had EBT, we used to have food stamp. It looked like Monopoly money. I don't know if you would rip it off. And I remember my dad saying, hey, go to the bodega and get me some cigarettes. We didn't have a bank. The bank was my mom's mattress. Yep. And it was credit, it was such, so when I was going through your website and I said, man, I wish I had this when I was a younger man, but how did that look like for you when you talked about you made every dollar stretch, but how did that look like growing up?
It was, my grandpa would save el dinero, there was saving account was the caja de violín, right? That's where we had the extra money. Yes. We grew up in a house where we would get those government food boxes, and my grandma would make every juice and milk, stretch it out, put water in it. We collected cans for extra cash. Back to school shopping was, the 99-cent store and Walmart and Payless, and it was on credit. I remember it was very common. I would go with my grandma to the pawn shop because she would constantly pawn things and try to get them back eventually. But yeah, there was not a real understanding of even how the systems worked. I don't think we had the luxury. It was survival.
Yes.
You don't think that maybe they had a checking account and they had a bank account, but they didn't fully understand the systems. We were learning. I was a translator in the household, right? I was the first one figuring everything out for them. So when you're in that survival mindset, and we had enough to have food on the table and live and pay the rent, and that felt like a luxury. Because I think, what's funny is you get to a point in life where you start doing better than everyone else around you did growing up, and you're like, wow, I made it. And then you look back and you're like, I had never even felt less than or anything, because I knew that there was people around me who were struggling even more. So who couldn't pay the rent, who were behind on their mortgage payments, who all this stuff, right? And so it's interesting. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, paycheck to paycheck wasn't the goal. that's just the only thing we could do. And I remember it hit me because when I was applying to college, first one going to college, right? And figuring all it out, doing the FAFSA financial aid forms myself, didn't even know what that was. And I got to see our family's taxes for the first time. And our expected family contribution is what they call it. The fancy term for it was 0. I was like, okay, great. Like that means I'll get all the scholarships and financial aid and loans. And I get to college and I was like, oh, that kind of isn't a good thing. That means we were poor.
Right.
We were struggling. But I wouldn't have it any other way, right? We grow up, we learn to be scrappy, resourceful. I've learned so much what matters, what doesn't, what enough is. And so a very lovely, beautiful childhood. But you can tell now looking back, oh, that wasn't a by choice thing. It was an out of scarcity thing. Yeah.
No, one thing you said in the beginning was, about there was a lot of love, and when you're a child, when you're growing up, you don't see that. You don't see the struggles. You're just like, I got mom and dad, I like my family. My dad was a super. You know what a super is in New York?
No, what is that?
So a super is a landlord. Like whenever you go in New York, if you go to an apartment, you go see the super. That's the guy who does the maintenance in the building. Yeah. And that's what my dad was, because he was a carpenter. So which meant you do everything from painting to when the sewer broke down.
Yeah.
Money was based on jobs he did. My mom helped when she could. So it was, I never knew what latchkey meant. I come from school, nobody was home. We would just go in, But I'll never forget one time when you talk about love, when my dad said, oh, I saw my dad who was working on the sewer. And I said, man, I want to be like my dad. And he stopped what he was doing right there. And he said, he said, my job is to work as hard as I can so that each generation should be better, And even then I didn't understand it, because, it wasn't until I left New York City and got educated and understood what my dad meant and how powerful money was.
And I don't think we even realize how powerful it is, because that reminded me, my grandma raised me. My grandparents ended up raising me. My mom and dad were back in Mexico, and there's a lot of sacrifices made for me to end up being here and getting educated. And I grew up undocumented. It was a whole journey to get to where I am. But I remember growing up, I think we just knew how heavy the pressure was on for the next generation to do better, because no one had an education around me. There was a musician who learned by ear, just on the streets. My grandpa and my grandma took care of children. Just what she knew, because she had a big family. There was not a lot of education there. And she was like, the only thing we need you to do is sleep, eat, go to school. Because the only blueprint they knew of is keep your head down, work hard, and study. That's the only thing we know that will take you to the next level that we couldn't get to. And it wasn't enough. I still think there's a lot more that they just didn't realize that is needed. But that's the next step for them, right? They were just trying to get us to that next step.
Right. We had a comment, McDally. Thank you. It's a building manager, superintendent of the building. Thank you for that.
I love it.
Yes, we can always do bad. Thank you for that. But I know you read, was it Applied Mathematics and Spanish Community and Culture, right? That's what you took.
Yeah, I ended up double majoring and
that's unique. How did those two, how those two work? How did those two worlds come together for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always had this duality. I didn't even realize it was that purposeful. Now as I say who I am in my identity. I very much see the duality. It was, I think, again, a survival and an interest thing when I was younger. I was good with numbers growing up. I was one of those kids in high school who enjoyed calculus, which is not very normal.
Right.
Maybe it was because English was my second language. English was never my strongest suit, so I leaned heavily in the numbers. And again, that immigrant mindset of STEM, STEM major. Like, that's how you're going to be employable. You got to be smart. You got to be different. You got to make the sacrifices worth it. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but I'll major in math. I seem to be good at it. And when you get to college, it's a whole different level. I was one of the brightest at my high school in the Southeast San Diego. I went to university, and not the case anymore, because then you're amongst the brightest. And I was one of very few Latinas. And I went to a very competitive school, a very great school, and very shaped me who I am out here in LA. But what I found was it was very isolating. I found myself for the first time struggling very heavily in school. And I passed my class. It was fine. But I was like, this can't be it. Like, it was just not a great experience I was having. I was like mainly just focusing on trying to get through math and theory and, trigonometry and all these very in-depth math classes and courses. Because when you major in math, it goes deep. And I remember I took one of my GE classes, and it was a Chicana studies course, and a Spanish history Latinidad course. And I was fascinated. And I saw people like me in a room. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, these are my people. I get to learn about my history. I haven't done this before in high school. I didn't see a lot of people like me in higher education, articulate with dreams and these different backgrounds from all over the country. And it was just, I loved it. Because in my math classes, it was a lot of men and a lot of white and Asian. And it was kind of a way for me to learn about my history, to connect with more people like me, and also to enjoy school. And so I was like, okay, well, I can balance out 2 to 3 math classes, and I'll take 1 to 2 Spanish and Chicano classes at a time. And I started to really enjoy, because there was like my artsy side came out, my creativity, my thirst for my cultura and learning more about that. And so that's why I ended up doing both. Yeah.
So it's funny when you said about seeing others like you in different positions. I remember when I joined the military, and it wasn't until like 5 years after that I saw my first Latino officer. And it was like it was crazy. I was like 21. It was like seeing somebody on such a high platform, like, you made it. It was amazing. Like, wow. And because it was just, everybody, it was brown and black in the military. When it was combat arms. That's what they would put us at. And all the officers at that time, when we're not Latino or black, let's put it that way, So when you said that, I was like, yeah, I remember that moment when I seen them, and we were just all in awe, like, wow. And a lot of my friends went to be warrant officers, to be officers, because when you see someone that looks like you, it inspires you. You're like, okay, so I just had to share that with you, because I can relate when you said that.
Representation is just so powerful.
It is. And with that, when did you first realize, como se dice, that financial literacy was your calling? How did that happen?
Yeah, great question. So, as a good immigrant Latina, first gen eldest daughter, I checked off all the boxes expected of me, and I graduated college, and I thought I did it. Ya la hice. I think I'm good now. I should be successful, because again, our parents, all they knew was education, so you can do better than us. But then from there, there's no blueprint. There's no connection, no network, no financial capital, no social capital. You got the educational capital, the knowledge, but what do you do with it? And so, okay, great. I started figuring out there's still a lot I don't know. I got my first job out of college. It took a minute. And I was like, okay, great. I got my first job. I did not really understand the offer or the benefits. No one in my family had a real grown-up job, one with benefits in corporate America. And then it was in accounting, I was like, it'll be great. I know math, numbers, fine. I started to listen and hear a lot of my coworkers talk about things like credit and buying a house and a 401k. Yo me quedé. Why? What is this? I thought I was ready. Why? And people were like, you're good at numbers. You must be good with money. No, two different things. It's a whole different language. And I felt like they were talking gibberish, and I didn't like that. So I started doing personal finance. I started just taking in all the podcasts, the books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Dave Ramsey podcast, and I Will Teach You to Be Rich, just all the sources I could. A podcast called The Financial Diet and A Secret to Wealthy Women, everything. I became a little sponge, and I was like, yo no me voy a quedar sentada si algo es. Algo soy es resourceful. Tengo ganas, I'm going to figure it out. We're good at it. Entonces, no me voy a quedar aquí sentadita como para no saber nada. So
right.
I started learning, and then 2 podcasts changed the game for me. That's how I got interested in finance. And then when I heard a podcast, which we're talking about right now, of representation, that talked about the wealth of the Latino economy. And I was shocked to hear the 5th largest GDP in the world, Latinos. If we were to rank them by country, the amount of GDP we contribute, the rate, the highest rate of small businesses opening up are driven by Latinas, is one of the highest producing in there. So I remember I heard these stats and these numbers around mi gente, and I was like, I thought when I saw a rich Latino or a successful Latino, I thought they were exceptions. I was like, man, that must have been so hard. They're an outlier. And it was the first time I was like, oh, wait, we don't have to stay stuck. Not everyone has to struggle. Like, there's so much out there, so much potential. We just don't know how to drive that money to good use. We spend it. And we're not pouring it back into ourselves, into our community, into our investments, into our legacy, into whatever, right? To our business, entrepreneurship, as much as we should be. We start small businesses, but we definitely don't grow them because we're not giving the resources and the capital. So even the fact that it was great to see that we're driving such high numbers in small businesses as Latina women, we're not growing them. And so, anywho, but it blew my mind. It was the first time I thought, mi gente do have money. It doesn't have to be the way it is. And then I heard on another podcast, someone who said they were a certified financial planner. I'd never heard of that term before. I'd heard of advisor. I thought they all worked at banks. They all sold commissions and products. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't my jam. I couldn't get behind it. And I had heard of the job. And so when I heard of someone who said, oh no, I'm a planner and I just charge for my advice. I'm not selling products. It's a flat fee. And I just pretty much help with my knowledge. And I give them not just investments help, but I look at the whole picture. At retirement, estate, insurance, their goals, their values. I'm this like guide for them and their money. I was like, whoa. I just became my little guy doing a budget the past 2 years, figuring out my adulthood. And like now I can do that for other people. That would be amazing. And that was about 6 years ago. So that's how I became a financial planner. That is why I do what I do. And it was just because I needed it for myself. And I wish I had seen someone like me in those spaces before.
Wow. We have a couple of comments. Magdalia said, you paved the way for others, Latina and Latinos.
Oh.
And she also said, preach, numbers mean something whether others believe it or not.
1,000%.
And we have another one from my girl Zuli. And this is what she said. My father came to this country and set up his business. But later on, I found out he was not the best when it came to finances. I asked him to help with financial aid, and he had no clue. His response was, you should get a Becca scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we have one more. And here we go. And Zuli said, but somehow there's money for quinceañeras.
Facts. I mean, hay dinero para ir a comprar the lotto ticket, ir al casino, a ir al viaje, and maybe not even the money, right? We're going on payday loans. We're
yes.
There isn't any. But yeah, it's a very swapped understanding. We almost like limit ourselves. We don't think big. We don't think it's possible. So then we stay down here, and we're in these cycles of surviving. You're in the hamster wheel. Yeah. And
another listener said, Zuli, MPA, that's a
must.
Yes. Yes, that's
all out for la boda, la quinceañera, el bautizo.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And we have a question from a LinkedIn. How do you build new habits when your old ones feel automatic?
Great question. New habits take a lot of intention to build because we're creatures of habit. Mm-hmm. We can want things so bad, but it's hard to change our old habits. What I tell people to do is you start with intentionality, you start with awareness. So the fact that you already started there and you're thinking, I want to change my habits, that's step one. Let's acknowledge the monster under the bed. Let's look at it. And I tell people, get real. It's not going to be pretty. Anytime we want change, it takes discomfort. Entonces, aunque te guste o no, todas las deudas, the debt, we need to see all the bad habits, all the things we don't want to address, that bill that's past due, put it all on the table. Pero también date tus flores. Okay, what are you making? Have you asked for a raise? Let's see all the number stuff, all of it. The shame, the fear, the guilt over here, the pride, the excitement over here, todo. It all counts. And then I think you really think about, okay, there's no guilt for everything that happened before today. We didn't know what we didn't know. And I think if we just held ourselves to that standard, we wouldn't feel so like, man, like sunk cost mentality, where I can't do this or that, ya le invertí tanto tiempo, or I messed up here. So what? Today's a new day. You get to start over every day. So if we have that mentality and you start small, people say, I want to save up. For what? I want to make more. How much? They don't even know how much they need. They don't have a number. They just say these big statements like money's going to solve everything. Will it? Do you know how much you spend? Do you know where your money goes? What categories? Do you know how much you want to make? What percentage of increase would that be? Let's get something. Even algo como, I want to get an emergency fund instead of saying your savings. Okay, cool. Let's break that down. How much would that mean for you? Let's say 1 to 3 months of expenses. Okay. Do you know what your spending and your bills are? Let's calculate that. Okay, now we know it's about 3,000 to 6,000. Let's say that. It sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money for folks. 4 out of 10 Americans can't pay an expense of like $1,000 or more, right? So it's not nothing. Okay, now we have a specific number, actionable. What little things can you do to save up the $3,000? It can be $20, $30, $50 a week, whatever it is. I just want you to start breaking it down to make it actionable and have a little steps you can meet along the way. And that's how you change habits. You start small. You don't dream big and think I'm going to change tomorrow. No one does. That's like saying we want to drop 50 pounds and then like, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen overnight. Like we have all these health goals. We know people rebound on diets and stuff because they don't make it realistic. So I don't want it to be a yo-yo starving cycle, like yo-yo diet starving cycle type of mentality. It can be like, okay, this is the reality where I'm at. This is where I want to be. Let's break it down and be honest with ourselves of what we can do to get there. When something doesn't work, great. Now you know what doesn't work. Next thing, don't get caught up in getting en la culpa o la regué, pa que empecé, ya ni pa qué. That's where we get caught up.
And I think you may have answered the question from this user. They said, what's the first step to breaking a generational money cycle?
I think with that, I mean, one is awareness, but I think sometimes too, a lot of how we act with money and in general in life comes from our childhood. And we don't like to really think about that. But I would say, sit there. When was the last time you thought about what comes to mind when you think of money? What was the first thing your mom taught you about money? Your dad? What were things you saw about money growing up that maybe influenced how you show up? Do you have a need to overspend because you think there might not be money tomorrow? Do you have a need to oversave because you think there might not be money tomorrow? What are those ties and our stories with money that we tell ourselves? And I'm a financial advisor. I do this for a living, and I still have things that I know are like tugging at my heartstrings or my gut sometimes. And I have these things from my upbringing. And so we got to start with getting honest with ourselves and seeing what we're working with. And then we can start to reframe and rewrite the narrative because we're all capable of change. We all are. And the one thing I tell people is, what's the cost if you don't change? Because it's easy to stay comfy, but no one, nadie. Your friend asking you to go out or the sibling asking you to go on a trip, or the tío que te pidió el préstamo because they can't have money. They're not staying up at night worried about if you can pay your bills.
That's right.
I'm sorry. And we can't pour from empty cups. So no one is looking out for your future you. So what I tell people is, you like to spend today? I want your future you to be able to spend too. So for your future you to be able to spend, we got to split the difference. Let's invest in your future self and enjoy a little bit today. So, just a reframe.
Yeah. Yvette asked a question. She said, Great conversation, Gloria. If you could normalize one money conversation for the world, what would it be? Gracias.
Honestly, the best investment is in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
In what you know. No one takes that from you. That's one thing my grandparents told me. Lo que tienes acá, nadie te lo da. Y con eso podemos generar. Siempre podemos generar. But also, we focus so much on generando that then we're like, I'm just going to work till my body gives out. And that's really a coping mechanism. It's not an answer to anything. So invest in yourself is one of the biggest things I tell people. Y también que you don't need to come from money to be good with money. I think it's another one we tell ourselves, like, man, if I had money, but they had it easier, or they talked about money growing up, or they already come from money, it's easier for them. Maybe. But that doesn't change that you can start today. Because how you handle your dollars is how you handle your thousands, is how you handle your millions. And when I say I'm going to be a millionaire in my lifetime, the first one in my family, I know it to be true, Jose, because I'm putting in the steps, and I don't think it's outlandish to say. We break it down, the power of investing. Your money doubles every 7 to 10 years. We put $50, $100, $200 away a month for the lifetime of our working years. We could do it. And so I just want to change that chip.
Yes. And on that note, Zuliak added, she said, growing up on survival habits are dangerously passed on.
Yeah.
It's so true, you know. Like when people talk about, you know, I know you mentioned habits. When we talk about mindset, like how much of a financial success is numbers versus behaviors, right? And I think you talked a little bit about that too.
Yeah. People think finance is all numbers. More money equals we're done, we're good. Like that's the answer to all my problems. I promise you, I have clients who have millions or make millions a year and spend it, and they're not going to be okay in retirement, right? And we have to talk with them. I have clients who make a fraction of what they make and are going to be better off. So the numbers, to an extent, I don't want to be tone deaf to the fact that I do think making minimum wage is a struggle, and we need to increase the pay there. So I'm not going to say no money helps. There's a certain cost of living that you do want to be able to have a peace of mind around, but more money is not going to solve all our problems. And I think if we don't tap into the emotions and the habits we have with the money we currently have, the problems only magnify. If you're a spender now and you're making $50K a year, you're going to be a spender when you make 100, when you make 200, maybe a millionaire, you know? And so you got to address that stuff from the get-go. And that is what drives stuff even more. I have clients, again, I can present the perfect financial plan for you. But if I can't connect with who you are, what matters, your values, something that actually sticks, and you don't take action on this perfect plan I detailed out, it don't matter. It's like you have a guide to go on a hike and you choose to do whatever you want anyway. Like, so if you can't really connect with who the person is and understand what their triggers are and the emotions, and understand what maybe came up from them before and what might come up now, and how that might affect their relationship with money and how they're going to take action or not on all things they say they want, then it's null and void, right? So
right. No, absolutely.
Our outcomes with money, I would say, are 90% around behavior and habits and emotions, and 10% having this perfect plan or investments. Yeah.
And I know for my family, my parents, it was about trusting the system. Trusting giving your money to somebody you don't even really know. That's always been an issue.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that somebody sat me down and said, Jose, you know, there's safeguards out there, you know, there's things. They're not just going to take your money, you never forget about, you know, they're going to steal it. And it's trusting your money with somebody else. And, you know, like for you, like what kind of challenges have you ever had personally as you were going through this career that you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I want to acknowledge that because the trust is huge, especially for Latinos who come from Latin America, whether it's your grandparents, your parents, or you. The systems out there are very different than here. So you're not only learning new systems, new language, whatever you're trying to survive, you're already coming from a distrusting place in your default. And so that takes a lot of rewiring, and especially in lower income communities of color, there are so many people who are predatory and coming in because they know the necessity and the angst, y que la gente está dispuesta a hacer lo que sea para estar bien, and to put money, put food on the table, and to get some money to pay the rent. Y la desesperación causa a veces que la gente no se fije bien en las cosas. And so I don't blame people when financial advisors have a bad rep. I know people who call themselves advisors who maybe think they're doing the best thing because they don't know any different. They haven't expanded their knowledge, and all they're doing is selling commission-based products. All they're doing is selling life insurance products, annuities, these very complex. And every product out there has a time and place. Don't get me wrong. I do this for a living, and there are time and place for some things. But when all you're doing is trying to get the highest paycheck, again, I don't blame them because maybe they're also trying to put food on the table for their families. But we don't, as a community, we don't know. And if you tell us, do you want your family to have money when you're not here, for example? Of course, the answer is yes.
Yes.
And so we fall into these traps, and then we end up feeling like, damn, I was scammed, or I didn't understand that, and I don't trust these people. And this is your hard-earned money. And if you're the first one building it, your first one building wealth, there's a lot there, a lot of emotion. You're probably, I mean, I don't know about your parents, but I know my friends, I talk to them, and their parents, they don't have a 401k.
Yeah.
They tell los hijos, tú eres mi 401k.
Yes. You're right.
¿Qué jubilación? You know, or retiramiento if you're a little Spanglish like me, which isn't really a word in Spanish, right?
Right.
But you are the 401k. Like, so you have all this added layers of complexity, and you want to just come up to someone who usually, like this industry, not a lot of Latinos, not a lot of people of color, Black and brown folks. And so you have to go up to someone who doesn't look like us, open up about something we're very vulnerable about, emotional about, and just be like, here, and trust someone. That's very hard to do. And I think this industry is full of people as well, sadly, who are very self-monumentizing, who want to be the smartest in the room and talk at you and give you solutions, and who don't listen, who don't connect, who don't understand, who don't make you feel heard and seen and valued, and who doesn't understand you need to send money back to your parents, who don't back home, who doesn't understand you need to help your sister through school because it's on you, who doesn't understand you need to help your uncle or aunt retire as part of your thing, right? And so there are a lot of complexities with communities of color because we're so community oriented. I think as simple as that, we think bigger than ourselves. So that's, I guess that was, I just really wanted to address the fact that this industry doesn't really foster trust, and I don't blame people for that. And that's been a struggle. I mean, to answer your question, that's been a struggle for me to feel like I want to make sure I do it differently. When I talk to people that I resonate with, that I know are in some way, shape, or form like me, whether where I come from, who I am, somewhat of my identity, I make sure I sit and I listen. And that makes all the difference, to really have someone sit with them and to hear them out, what matters to them, and to craft something according to them, and not just put them in a plug and play thing and call it a day and make them feel like a number. No, like, it's important. So
absolutely. Yeah. And we have another question. It says, how can young people start building legacy now, even if they feel they're starting with very, very, very little, money?
Yeah, great question. So I know it feels very little amounts of money, but when you're young is when your money is the most powerful when it comes to building wealth and legacy. So compounding is how money grows on itself. It's probably the most fascinating concept in all of investing. But if you put $20, $30, $40 away now when you're younger, a week, a month, whatever that is, it's going to go so much farther than if you wait to put in $100 in your 40s, for example, or something. Because you're like, I'm waiting until I have more money to put money away. Because what you lost is 2 decades, say for your 20s. That's 2 times or 3 times your money could have doubled if you hadn't put it away and invested it. Now, I don't want to go say put every dollar you own, because we want a buffer. We want an emergency fund. We want that rainy day fund, because you don't want to rely on credit cards to get by when emergencies hit. But for those long-term things, you can start small, and we don't have to feel that pressure. It's actually so counterproductive to feel like I want to wait till I can do more to put away more.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a lot. What we're gonna do, we're gonna go to a 25-second commercial. Then we're gonna show how people can connect with you. What are some of the things that you offer and they can reach to you. So 25 seconds, and we're going to go right into the slides. Give me a moment. Today's episode is being sponsored by Sheeta Sweets. There's nothing like a homemade pound cake, the kind that takes you back to grandma's kitchen. At Sheeta Sweets, every cake is made from scratch with premium ingredients and the love behind Dr. Rashida Johnson's family recipe. From classic vanilla to sweet potato and southern butter, every slice delivers a taste of tradition. Order your custom pound cake today. All right, Gloria, here we go. Es todo tuyo.
All right. Yeah. So this is my website. I do a lot of different services. Yes, I do financial planning for a living. So I help individual clients one-on-one grow their wealth. But on top of that, I do a lot else. And my goal is to just leave a grain of sand as much as I can and give back to mi gente, mi comunidad as much as possible while I am on this earth and pass on everything I know, not just to my clients, but to everyone around me. And so this is my website. You can find me on here. And we can, I think we can go to the next slide if there's, so things I do, for example, is I do run workshops. I've been on panels. I've hosted events. I am doing keynotes. So different kinds of structures, but all with similar goals. Talking about how we level up our wealth, our money, talking about how we take up space as first gen people in corporate America, how to come into this industry, and also just the duality of identity and a lot of the topics I feel like I've encountered in my life. So I run the gamut on those kind of general topics, and I partner with organizations, universities, nonprofits, companies, and different events to do all that throughout the year. I am heavily involved in a lot of different organizations across the US. If you're someone who wants to get into this industry, these are all amazing organizations. Also, if you want to give back, I'm also part of organizations. CFP board is the organization that does the CFP certification. That's how I became a certified financial planner. I'm ambassador for them because I want to see more people like me in the industry. I'm part of Ser Latino Advisor Summit. We're a conference put together by volunteers all over the country for Latinos who want to get Latinos in financial services together, because that is not usually a space we dominate in. And then amazing nonprofits. I'm part of Remarkably Us. We help foster youth Latina in California. Ready to Succeed LA. We help foster youth across the country. I was a part of that one growing up. And then across, there's more organizations, but I would say those are the ones I'm most heavily involved in and giving back my time. And if you ever want to read, I have a lot of, if you heard snippets here and you loved what I said, there's many more where that came from. So I'm on different podcasts. I'm being featured in media outlets or in the news or in articles. And it's all on topics from home ownership to retirement to investing to money mindset, everything in between. So you can go on my website. There's all the resources. I continue to keep it updated as I put more out there into the media.
And mi gente, I went on there. It is stupendous. It is easy, user-friendly. So please go on there. If not for you, share it with somebody, young people. It is an awesome website. I can tell you because I went through a lot of that stuff. So thank you, Gloria, for that. Really, it was really good.
Yeah. And this one's always a little hard, right? We don't like to, in our community, we don't like to brag, but I put in the work. And yes. I'm very proud of that. And I've gotten recognitions nationally. I was in Rising Star for Women to Watch, Investment News, American College, Next Gen Professional Award. I was recognized by the LA Times as the DAI Visionary. I've been featured, like I said, in amazing publications I could only dream of as a child. And it's been a dream come true to just see that when you put your heart and soul into something and you are you, and the impact continues to duplicate and triple and quadruple, it's pretty impactful and pretty amazing to see people start to recognize you in your element.
Yes, yes.
This is my LinkedIn. It is where I probably am most active because I am sharing all the different events I'm speaking at or pieces I've been published in or podcasts I'm on. This is also where I share resources for First Gen. I have a newsletter I publish around monthly called Cafecito and Capital, where we talk everything Latinidad, culture, money, identity, everything all in one. Every Monday, I try and do a morning coffee thoughts on money, mind, and meaning. On Fridays, I tend to do a First Gen Friday tip. So a little bit of career, a little bit of money sprinkled in there in between.
Cool beans.
Yeah. Instagram, I post different events. I try to do little tidbits on money and tips here and there that are more digestible in video format. So feel free to tune in. I share there as well. It's probably a lot of our younger folks tend to gravitate towards Instagram.
Yes.
And yeah, if you want to connect with me in any way, shape, or form, if you're someone looking to grow in this industry, looking to get into this industry, we need more people like you. I promise you. If you're someone who is like me in any way, grew up either in immigrant households, if you're Latino, if you're Spanglish, if you're a female, if you're young, if you're Black and brown, I know all of those things and those experiences, and you're trying to build wealth and do things differently, connect. I'm happy to be a resource. So that's my website, it's my LinkedIn, that's my Instagram. And thank you for giving me the time.
Of course. And we have some questions. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows, even after this is done, you'll have access to this, or just shoot me an email, or Yvette or Gloria. You have all information there. And we have a question. Let me get to it. It says, do you have any upcoming virtual sessions?
That's a great question. I don't have any public ones right now. If you would like to host one, if you're part of an organization, if you're part of a community event, you want me to come out or speak virtually, I'd be happy to talk. I do that all the time. I don't tend to have fully public ones. They end up being hosted by an event in person or a virtual thing, or within a company or a university or a nonprofit. So it's a good idea that we could plan on hosting a fully public one.
No, I think it is needed. You're absolutely correct. Because it's always like a mystery. Like, how do I navigate this? It's the navigation, the trust. It is, and I know it's been struggling. When I was in the military, and a Latino or a brown person will buy a brand new a used car at 30% interest rate. Look at the rims. When we talk about quinceañeras, when we talk about they're not focusing. It's like, but look what you're paying. You're not,
Well, we don't even know though. We don't know what's normal.
Right.
We're told the car insurance consultants, 30%. That's great. You qualified.
Yes.
You don't know that's bad, because maybe for mortgages, we don't know the interest rate range, right? Mortgages are lower than cars, but credit cards are higher than car. It's a whole gamut, and so we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
But I will say some of the best places I think that you can hear different tips I've talked about for different topics is on podcasts, because it's great. They're always live conversations. Questions come up or they're planned, but you get to hear live talking. And I think that's some of the best ways people consume information. So on my website, I believe I have a list of all the podcasts I've been on.
Okay. Yes.
Listen there.
And before I let you give your last word, I want you to finish these sentences. Like, wealth is, in your opinion, wealth is.
Wealth is. There's so many words that come to mind.
Just throw out some.
Yes. Yeah. I think for me, wealth is our community, nuestra gente.
Okay.
We are nothing without them. Wealth is power. It is opportunity to say yes and no to things without feeling we have to be in situations and be stuck, especially as underserved communities, especially and we're oftentimes put in positions where we feel like we can't really make a choice that we want to because we're struggling. Wealth is impact. Wealth is legacy. Wealth is transformation. It's how we level up. It's how we grow, and it's how we make sure the next person is better than where we are today. Yeah.
And define maybe more than one word that defines Gloria's journey.
Oof. Perseverance. And belief in self, constant belief in self, because the amount of times people have doubted me. You have to be your best cheerleader in life, because my God, people are going to want to deter you, tell you no, tell you it's not possible. And you have to have the strongest belief in yourself and your why to get past any doubt in life. And through the hard days, the struggles. You said it at the beginning. Life is not linear. It's full of ups and downs. We can count on that. So the only person that's going to get up and going to motivate you to get up when things get hard has to be you.
Yes, absolutely. And I will leave you with the last word. What do you want people listening now when they watch this podcast? What do you want them to take away? What one thing or more?
Es cliché, but sí se puede.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it. It's not out of our hands. Don't let people let us believe that this money thing is hard, that it's not doable, that it's not for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think a friend of mine recently said, and I loved it, like, if you're making $30,000 a year, there's more. If you're already making six figures, there's more. If you're in any way, shape, or form think you've made it, there's more. We're always able to grow and level up. Don't stay stagnant. Don't let yourself get caught up in those cycles that keep us down, because also you don't realize who's watching you. Your younger sibling, your friend, your mom. So it's powerful.
Yeah, no, thank you. And you're right. I always say knowledge is worthless unless you share it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be crabs in a bucket pulling each other down. When someone gets ready to get to the top, right? We pull them down.
We think it's a zero-sum game because we haven't seen a lot of us in these positions. So we think there's only one spot.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Make sure there's any more questions. And just to give you, Zuli, she gave out, hey, celebration. It was good. She said, I love watching her journey and her growth. So, you got your tribe out there.
I appreciate my tribe. Mi gente.
you got your people out there, So yeah, and before I let you go, let me just do one thing here. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, so in May is Mental Health Awareness Month. That is so important, especially in our community. It is something that, as a veteran, we lose 22 a day to suicide, but also our community, because people don't want to go to the doctor for whatever reason. There's things out there. So for the month of May, we're going to be having some great speakers that are going to cover some of the, and one to start it off is going to be, Dr. Ana Sierra. She's a licensed mental health professor, and she's going to be talking about these things. So, please tune in, because there's questions and things that we have, just like Gloria. We have subject matter experts, people that can provide, guidance, people that can give you at least a way forward, especially when it comes, just like finances, mental health affects all of us. And if we don't take care of it, it's going to take care of us in one way that you're not going to have any control of. Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's very important. And when we talk about, here we go, we got one of our, Coco Stevens is one of our fitness trainers, and she'll be coming on the show. But, again, mental also for somebody who works out, because I work out, it helps with my mental, and it does make a difference. It's like a piece of the pie. You got to eat well, you got to sleep, but we got to take care of our mental well-being, because that's so important with all that. But Gloria, I want to say gracias. Thank you for dropping the nuggets, saying a Latina, saying mi gente up in here. Yeah, I get excited. So just thank you for being here, and continue doing what you're doing, Gloria, because you make a difference and people are watching, and I just appreciate it.
And I want to say thank you to you, because the space created for these conversations is how we make a difference. We don't talk money in our communities, and that's the first step.
Yeah.
So you created a space here. You brought this energy. You brought the honesty. You brought the space that really is going to be a container for people. Hopefully, then take it from here and drive it home. Drive it in you talk about it in the car. Talk about it with their friends and family. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was great.
The conversation continues on, right? That's it. And I want to thank ladies and gentlemen, the followers on here. What you heard today, don't keep it to yourself. Let's share it. The interview will be available. Reach out to Gloria if you need to get her information. Again, una vez más, it's right here, right there, ladies and gentlemen. Scan it. There's her email. Shoot the email. Any questions you got. There's somebody that that can use her advice, guidance, that can use her. Speakers, we got it. You got something coming up. So yeah, let's support each other. That's what it's all about here, and sharing information. So, and Zuli says, gracias. So
gracias, Zuli.
Thank you. So it's, the love is out there, Gloria, for everything. So I just want to, and mira, when you get your book,
Hey.
One of the places, I know you got a lot, but please keep us informed. Any events you got coming up, like I said, let us know so we can let la gente know, hey, Gloria has something coming up, so please share with us.
All right, I love it. Thank you. I will amplify all our voices.
Right, and somebody said, looking forward to the virtual session with the Motivated Mindset. Okay, I don't know who that is, but hey, we can do that. We can definitely do that.
We can make it happen.
We can make it happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend. Stay safe, and hey, we'll see you next week. Gracias otra vez, Gloria. Gracias. Bye-bye.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness, one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.